Hi, late last night I watched First Man into Space, a 1959 Anglo-American production that was an outright rip-off of the Quatermass experiment. That series, originally broadcast on the BBC in 1953 and the arguably first modern science fiction story for television, tells of the first British man in space, who, along with his two crewmen, passed through some cloud of cosmic miasma and arrived back on Earth to find two of them missing and the other in a coma. He, however, starts gradually to mutate and absorb other living things and threatens to overwhelm the Earth. First Man into Space has exactly the same plot. We have the first American astronaut going into orbit in his space plane, far exceeding the planned limits of the journey, while his brother, a senior Navy figure, remains behind in the control room. When the ship breaks up and the pilot manages to crash down to Earth, he goes missing. But the ship is found coated in a strange substance, which is loose and flexible, but also lethal. It turns out that the pilot has been rampaging through the countryside, eating people and drinking their blood, and is eventually cornered and put into a decompression chamber, which allows the pilot to regain his senses and communicate with the outside world. It's not a very good film. It has an odd mixture of locations on both sides of the Atlantic. I think there was a degree of location filming or second unit location filming in the US when the studio work was undertaken in the UK. It has a mostly American cast, although there's one notable exception in Roger Delgado, the English actor of French and Spanish birth, of ancestry rather, who plays the Mexican consul in whose territory some of the debris crashed. Delgado was constantly playing continental or Hispanic characters due to his background. But he had already performed in the second Quatermass TV serial, Quatermass 2, as a reporter in a role taken in the film version by no less than Sid James. But this is not in and of itself interesting enough to sustain a film which is at an hour and 12 minutes, very overlong and padded, has very little in the way of characterization, and is generally very poor and unoriginal. And despite the fact that, incredibly, it was backed by a major studio in MGM, I struggle to imagine why this was even released when there are Quatermass movies coming out at the same time. You'd be much better off watching them.